This is SimCity. This is the latest version. I actually don't like to play this game very much, and the reason why I don't like it is because I think the game is too easy to play. You can see I've got some regions over here, and I branched out to a new region, and I'm going to zoom in. The reason why I think it's too easy to play is because there's a certain formula that you use to play the game. Number one, you build your industry so that all the pollution is at the edge of the screen where it doesn't go near your residential neighborhoods. Another example is you want to plant all of your industrial factories and things to gather natural resources as much as possible, to just gather lots of natural resources. I'm going to show you an example here. If we go to the oil wells for drilling, you can see that I'm doing quite a bit of drilling over here. So what happens is, once you figure out how to make money, which is drilling, getting coal, building the semiconductors and the televisions, once you start making money, you start making tons of money. And then the game becomes really easy to play. So what I do now when I play is I work as fast as possible to get those natural resources going. Now you can see here we have full storage on this oil well. We need to get space to place that oil, otherwise it's just not working anymore. And the sad part is eventually you're going to run out of resources. And when you run out of resources, obviously you're not going to make any money. So the first thing I'm going to do, obviously there's issues here with power. When you have power issues in this game, you have to deal with it immediately, because the power will shut off immediately. It'll shut off your buildings immediately, but it will take a long time for those buildings to start up again. I haven't played in a long time, so I have to figure out where my power is. And ideally you want to upgrade what you already have. I have a coal power plant, which is fine. However, you want to also diversify. So I'm also going to put an oil power plant. So if I run out of coal, I'll still produce power. I'm going to fit it in wherever I can. By fitting it in, I might lose some of the special abilities, such as the ability to expand it. But I'm going to have a lot of power, that's for sure. And it's going to be cheap. One of the things you're going to notice here, we have a feature which is a sign, and it's free to place on your building. And you should probably do it if you can, because one of the features of the game is that if your people are uneducated, they will not be able to find things, and you want them to be able to find things. Okay, I think I'm going to have enough power for a while, but we have excess power in part because some of the buildings might be turned off, and when they turn on, they'll start using up that power real fast. Now we're closed for full storage with an oil well. However, the trade depot looks as though it has plenty of space. Perhaps not. I'm going to check out my depots. I'm probably going to have to build a trade depot to store the crude oil. Again, I haven't played in a while, so I don't know how I configured this map. There should be a refinery somewhere. Here's the refinery. It's waiting for power. Again, it's going to take a long time. Even though I've got plenty of power right now, it's going to take a long time before it activates again. And it's got some oil, and it's going to make the fuel and the plastics. I want that thing to start running as soon as possible, and I might have a second one running so I can make more money faster. As you can see, we have a coal mine. Having a coal mine means that there must be coal. So I'm going to check out if there is coal. And as you can see, there's a small amount of coal over here. So the question is, where can I build an oil refinery in a place that's convenient? You want to be as close as possible to the oil wells because, like I said, these sims are not that bright. I've seen them drive around the block the long way to get to something that was across the street. And I've even seen them bypass buildings that they're going to. Like they should have gone to the building and stopped, but they just went right by it because they were just too dumb. And that costs you a lot of money. So I'm going to try putting it, let's say we put it over here. So we're going to process more oil than before. And let me check my cash. I don't have that much cash. You want to put things like the sign down last. You want to make sure you get your vehicles in first, because the vehicles are required for the game. And then put your sign somewhere in the space that's left over. I'm going to have to determine, it looks like I can make plastic but not fuel, so I'm going to edit it so that I can make fuel with a distillation unit, which will be placed right there in the only place possible. And I'm going to hold off on the rest. I'm going to check on sewage because I saw a sewage light. You can see that the sewage is backed up. So I've got to get the sewage pumps running again. It's probably backed up because they don't have power. And like I said, it takes a long time before it gets running again. Let's see if I can add to this. One of the techniques you want to use is you want to use your sewage near your water plant. And I know it sounds silly, but the sewage puts water into the ground even though it's dirty. And the water pumping station takes the water out of the ground, and you want to filter it. If you don't do it that way, then the water in the ground will dry up. So you have to use eventually the filtered water pumps near a sewage station so that you don't have that drying up problem. I need more money right now, which is why I can't fix my sewage problem. I need 40,000. I don't have that much. What I could do, I'm pretty sure that one of my other cities has a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure I could transfer that money to another city. But it's not in this segment. There's 4 segments in the game, in the regions. And in this area, there's no other cities yet. So it's my, another region does have cities, some of which are wealthy. So as soon as I get 40,000 simoleons, which I can do by getting some cash, I'm going to take out a loan. I am going to pay for more sewage capability. It doesn't look like it's enough. Might have to drop 2 of them down. Looks like I got to put more than 2. But I don't have enough money, so I'm going to take out some more money. One thing I learned about these games is that there's certain things that you need. You need electricity. You don't need education. You don't need the police force. You don't need the fire department. But electricity is absolutely essential. So when you start losing money, you have to go to all the non-essential services like the medical care and education and start shutting them off. And you have to do it in the order from what you think has the least impact on your city as possible. For example, you want to avoid shutting off the fire department and the police department, but sometimes you have to. Education is easier to shut off. So I'm going to add a filtration water pump right here. You can see all this brown is where all the sewage is being dumped. It's going to be pretty much an endless supply of water if I place it here. If I place it in one of these other areas, that water is going to eventually dry up and disappear. So I just go in straight at the beginning. As soon as I have money for this pumping station, I place it. It says I have backed up pipes, which really doesn't make sense. I mean, over here it's claiming that it has a problem with insufficient sewage. However, it says that I have excess capability. So it's unclear as to whether I need to buy more or not. I just don't understand. I mean, it says sewage process is almost at 100%. I have the money to put down another treatment tank, so I will. The other thing that I do is, right now all of my sewage is going to this location. I will put the pipes in an industrial area, for example, right over here, on the other side of the map, so that all the sewage it has 2 different directions where it can go to. These sewage lines travel along the roads, so I could, in theory, put a road connecting over this gap so that the sewage has a different path that it can travel to. SimCity is a fun game, but like I said, it's got a lot of defects in the game. The AI is very stupid. The people walk down the block. Every night the people live in a different house and get a job at a different place, and it's really stupid AI. And you see large crowds of people walking down the street looking for their jobs in their houses. And basically what they do is they march in single file towards the residential area, and they fill up the houses as they get there. And same with the commercial buildings. In other games, in previous SimCity games and in Cities in Motion, people have a place where they work and a place where they live, and it's like that throughout most of the game, and they might move occasionally. In this game, it's just completely stupid. The other issue you have is without education, people don't function properly. For example, if you watch the fire department, if they're uneducated, the people in the fire department will just randomly spray anywhere and they won't actually put out the fire. And it's not just the fire department, it's the same with the police and the ambulances. It's important to have some level of education. So it looks like we've got the sewage issue solved. And we have electricity. Now the garbage dump is full. And this is the garbage dump. The garbage dump has capacity where you can add what's called a dump zone, and you can also incinerate the garbage. And ideally, you want to incinerate the garbage. If you add a dump zone, you're just going to be piling up more and more garbage. So I'm going to add another incinerator. I don't understand why these aren't effective enough, but it is necessary. And it looks like there's only one place where I can put it. Now you'll notice it says recycling bins collected per day, it says 0. So I don't have a recycling program. I'm going to have to add a recycling program. You want to add your recycling program in your industrial area. You want to keep those things far away from where the people live. The other issue you have is that the recycling program can actually be profitable because you're going to recycle, you're going to get metals and plastics and things like that. So definitely build a recycling program. I'm going to build a road that goes behind this oil refinery. Doesn't have to be a big road. Just something like that. And my recycling program is going to be built on this road. This is the recycling center. You can see it's quite big. This looks like, what is that? That's a high school. Okay. And it is closed. So right next to the high school. High schools and schools are not impacted by garbage and things like that as far as I know. So you want to build things like your fire department, your police station, your health care, and your schools at the edge of the industrial areas in that little buffer area. Now we talked about the AI. I just laid down this road, and there's no buildings on this road whatsoever, but there's traffic on it, and it makes no sense. But that's the way the game is. They're, for some reason, going down this road and finding nothing. I'm going to zone the road for industry. Usually when I play, I make a general city, and then I will make a residential city, and then I will make an industrial city, I will make a commercial city, etc. It says that there's a worker shortage. However, there's plenty of places where they can build more buildings. I'm going to extend this road over here so I can put in some houses. And I'm going to zone it for residential. Another thing that I do is, at some point, I will destroy all the existing houses and I will rezone it so that I can get higher density buildings. So all of these buildings at some point could be completely just destroyed to place in the higher density roads when I need to. In order to pick up recyclables, obviously we have to have two types of vehicles. So I'm going to start loading up these garages. I don't have an infinite amount of money, so I'm going to try and do so with a little bit of caution. This has plastic right now. We've got alloys, metal, and plastic. Those are our three choices. We want the alloy line. So I'll put that down. We want the metal line. I'll put that down. And we get to add one more. I'm going to do alloys. And I will try to place as many of these garages as I can so that they'll start picking up stuff. And they'll go to other cities to pick up stuff too, which is pretty cool. So they're going to start collecting plastics, metals, and alloys, and you need to send it somewhere. You can either sell it or you can use it to manufacture something. So the plastic right now probably gets sold. Let's see what happens. The plastic is going to get sold, but now we've got the metal and the alloy, and what are we going to do with that? I don't think I can expand this trade depot. It's at its maximum. So I'm going to have to build a new trade depot to deal with the excess metals and other materials. This is for freight. I'm not approved on this trade depot to store other types of materials, so I have to wait until I've researched the ability to add those to that type of a trade port. This trade port is using the train system, so all of my freight can use that rail system. So I'm going to have to build another trade depot. And the other option is I take those materials that I'm manufacturing, which is the plastic, the metals, and the alloys, and I build something with it. Because of the fact that this is a new city in a different region, I don't have the rights yet to build the processor factory. It says here I need 5 medium tech industrial buildings or 5 high tech, and I have 0. So that means that everything that I make has to be exported. I'm going to therefore build a trade depot, and I'm going to export as much as I can. If I build this here, I might not be able to put any of the storage areas, so I might have to destroy this. So we've got the alloys and the metals and the plastics. I don't need this freight area, so I'm going to destroy that if it lets me, and it does. We've got an alloy lot. I'm going to replace it with alloys. And I'm going to put a metal storage lot, and the other one was plastics, but we've already got a place for outgoing plastics, so we don't really need it. So I'm not going to place it. And you don't have to put, I don't think you have to put trucks here. The more trucks, the better. However, if you don't have them, I think the recycling plant, which is across the street, will still make the deliveries. So I've added those lots to store what comes out of recycling. However, I have to manage the global market, which means I have to set it for export. And when you set it for export, it says 42,000. That means that I'm going to make 42,000 simoleons when it's ready to export. However many, is it 20 tons? When it gets to 20 tons, that's how much money I'm going to make. See how it's doing. It looks like we've got some plastic coming in. Alloys and metals are starting to come in too. It's going to be a while before it is full, but it's going to be working on it. One of the things you have to do is you have to sometimes build your various things, such as a recycling center in your industrial area, and you might have to get rid of some of your industrial buildings, and unfortunately you have no choice. I keep saying I have a worker shortage. See if I can figure out how to fix that. One way to do it is to build a park. Take a little tiny park, which unfortunately has to be along the road. I'm going to put it here in a corner. And it's going to make people a little bit happier. these buildings will expand a little bit faster, and it's definitely something that I need. The other thing I can do is I could remove the roads in the center of the screen and replace it with a wider road which has a higher capacity. Or I could actually upgrade the road. A lot of these roads can be upgraded if I haven't already upgraded them. In order to upgrade, you see there's a little button over here that says Road Upgrade. So I can go to medium density, which might be a downgrade. So we don't want to do the downgrade. Looks like they've already been upgraded. So that's a quick overview of SimCity. I will be continuing to work on my city, and I'll show you how it progresses and any changes that I've had to make. They all fall basically under the same thing. You've got the coal, the iron, the oil, and the casinos and the tourism, and you build up more or less depending on what that particular map permits.